of those crystals. Look at that. See it in there? So welcome back to the sawmill, friends. Kind of a frustrating day here. We've been dodging storms pretty much since after lunch. I'll work out here for about 20 minutes, then it starts thundering, it runs me in the house. But I think we're finally getting somewhere with this wood chipper. Let me show you what's going on. All right, guys, let me introduce you to the new wood chipper here at the sawmill. This is made by Wood-Mizer. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's kind of a new company. I ordered this about 2 weeks ago. It took about a week to get here. I think it shipped out of California. And it's pretty much just a basic wood chipper that runs on the power takeoff on your tractor. But this one has one nice feature that a lot of chippers doesn't have. Now this right here has a really unique feature that a lot of your other wood chippers don't have. I researched about 5 of them when I finally decided on this one right here and ordered it 2 weeks ago. And that feature is it has a power feed. And I know what you're thinking, those other chippers probably have some power feeds as well. Well, this one has a power feed like I was saying, but it runs off the hydraulics on your tractor. A lot of the other wood chippers that I was researching did have power feed on them, which means when you put the brush into the machine, or the chipper rather, it pulls it in. You don't have to sit there and shove it in there, and you know, it's self-feeding. I guess that sounds a lot better. Self-feeding. It's not manual. A lot of those had that feature, but you had to put hydraulic oil in the chipper and everything ran off the power takeoff. This one's a little bit different. The power takeoff runs the chipper, which means it runs the flywheel, which does the chipping, but the tractor's hydraulics run the power feed, so there's no hydraulic fluid needed with this chipper. It makes it a little bit unique, I think, and less maintenance. So this is the flywheel right here. It goes clockwise. You can see the blades right there that do the chipping, and these are reversible, and they're right now covered in cosmoline because this was probably stored in a warehouse and that keeps it from rusting. I really like that these are reversible. That way it gets dull, you just switch it over, you don't have to sharpen all the time. So that's a good feature right there. And I doubt I can pick this up on camera, but right down in there, yeah, it's too tight for you guys to see. The blade is passing by the anvil, which is like a fixed blade, and it's adjusted right there. And you want that spacing to be around 1/16 of an inch for a normal size wood chip. And I was checking to make sure the spacing was right, and it looks good from up here. So that's good right there. Don't have to fool with that. This chipper is heavy duty. I think it weighs about 1,300 pounds. I'm probably going to leave the cosmoline on the blades for right now. As soon as we start running material through this, it'll come off almost instantly. So it's not going to hurt anything. If you're looking for a wood chipper, friends, I'll leave a link down in the video description to their website. You can go check them out. And just so you know, this video is not sponsored by this company. All right, guys, it's the next day. So last night, between dodging rainstorms, trying to keep my camera out of the rain, I'm using a GoPro, it's waterproof, but the lens gets water all over it, so you can't video nothing. But between all that and trying to get things ready for the night, I finally got this thing assembled. And it didn't take me too much longer than I showed you guys on camera yesterday, but it was kind of aggravating. And let me show you why. Here it is, and my goodness, friends, this thing is huge. This is a massive wood chipper right here. And the aggravating part on the assembly was trying to bolt this part to that part. Because as you can see, right there's the bolts, right there, and it goes on at kind of an angle. It's canted to the left, and it's also angled upright just a little. And getting that angle on pallet forts, I had this right here on the pallet forts, getting that right angle, man, it was aggravating. I had to get my wife out here. We had a jack underneath it and 2 pry bars, and I was moving it in 2 different directions, and she was finally able to slip the bolts in so we could get everything attached. I think we're ready to go as far as the wood chipper goes. And I mentioned how big this thing is. My goodness, it's massive. I think it weighs about 1,300 pounds. So real briefly here, friends, and wait a minute, looky there. Got a special appearance by the hatefulest cat on YouTube. Mama, get away from this wood chipper. I don't want to get you stuck in there. You like getting in weird places. She's bad for that. So anyways, the wood goes in right here. Got some safety flaps, and there are some teeth, or rollers rather, with teeth on them on the top and the bottom. This chipper is rated for 6-inch material. Right here on the outside, this handle has like a neutral position, and this right here is like in feed, and that's out feed. So if you have a clog, you pull this toward you to clear the branches out of it, then you go back to chipping. Over here on the outside, you have the hookup for the hydraulics. That would go to the rear of the tractor. Of course, you have the chipper. I need to put some grease in it before we start it up. You guys remind me to do that if you don't care. Then over here on the back side is where it hooks to the tractor. I need to reverse the pins right there, put those on the outside and see what category they are for. The tractor we're going to be putting this on today is the 5835. That's a category 2 tractor, so we'll need category 2 pins. I've also got to grab the PTO shaft and see if it's the right length. May have to cut it, hopefully not, and get it hooked up. But other than those small things, I think we'll be ready today to finally run some wood through this chipper and see how it works. But before we do that, I got something else to take care of. It's a little chilly this morning. I think this is blackberry winter. I can't remember. What do you guys think? Or what time of year is this? They have like dogwood winter, blackberry winter, all these like odd winters in springtime. I think it's blackberry, but I could be wrong. So this is what I call the mechanic shop. It's the other side of the sawmill building. And this room is about, I think, 20 by 30. The sawmill area is 20 by 40. And this is where I usually keep the skid steer at and all my mechanic tools, major toolboxes, and my hardware store as well. And I got a brand new toolbox. I think I showed some footage at the first of this video, unloading it from the truck. Let me show you. So I am a big fan of Harbor Freight, and over the past few years, they have really improved their tools and their toolboxes. I bought this one several months ago. It works perfect, and I got this one yesterday morning, and I think it was a really good buy. It was on sale. I got it for $349. I was really needing some more storage for tools because you can't have enough. That one's almost full, and this one right here will probably be full by the end of the week. So when it comes to tools, growing up, Craftsman was what everybody bought around here. You'd go to Sears over at the local mall and get your Craftsman screwdriver, ratchet set, whatever you need. You got that famous lifetime warranty, and that was where everybody went and bought their tools. The pros bought from Snap-on, but man, Snap-on's high. Who can afford that stuff? So other than that, people went to Sears. Well, nowadays, Sears is gone. I think Lowe's bought Craftsman, because when I go there, they got all kinds of Craftsman stuff that doesn't look like the same stuff I used to see at Sears years ago, although the quality may be fine, I don't know. So nowadays, there's kind of a void there, or a hole rather, for tool sales, and Harbor Freight, I tell you, they really increased their quality over the past few years. Now, there's some stuff at Harbor Freight I wouldn't buy, but there's a lot of stuff that I do buy from there, and it's kind of my go-to now for tools. I go there all the time. But the first thing I need to do before it gets real hot out there is spray some weeds. And if you're new to this channel, this is my Honda four-wheeler. It's what model is it? I think it's a Foreman 4x4. This thing, guys, I bought this in like 2012. And you will rarely see it on the channel because I don't use it a lot, and its main purpose is weed spraying. That's a great weed sprayer right there. I got that at Northern Tool about a year ago. It works great. You put a battery right there in the back, and you can go through about 20 gallons really fast with this machine right here. It works really good. And that's the reason I've kept this four-wheeler, even though I have a side-by-side now, is because of the weed sprayer. It's easier to spray weeds off the seat of an ATV than it is a side-by-side, in my opinion, but I'm sure somebody in the comments will complain about that and tell me I'm wrong, but that's the way comment sections go sometimes. So let me turn this thing on. I don't know how many hours is actually on this machine. Let me get the right key. I'm sure it's really low compared to most people who have a 12-year-old four-wheeler. So after 12 years of use, 148 miles. Can you guys see that? 148. This thing right here is not even broke in. All right, guys, as you can see, we got troubles. I didn't get very far on my spraying detail this morning. And this is my fault. The pump is working, but there's a clog in it. And let me show you what that clog is. You see those crystals right there? That's what happens if you store your sprayer for the winter and you leave it full of your weed sprayer. That stuff crystallizes and gets clogged up in your pump. And come springtime, it makes a mess for you, so don't do like I do. At the end of the season, drain out your reservoir. Don't leave this junk in it right here. That right there will happen to you. I should have known better, but for some reason I left that in there. So now I'm paying for it. We got the cover off, and I'm going to have to take off all these lines and make sure all those crystals and all that junk is cleared out of here. And I may have to take some of this pump apart as well if it's lodged inside of there. So this right here, friends, is aggravating, but I'm glad it happened today. And to quote Jocko, he's a Navy SEAL. A lot of you guys may be familiar with him, or he's a retired Navy SEAL. He writes a lot of motivational books. I've read a few of them. He's got a pretty good podcast as well. But when something like this happens, he always says good, meaning you can learn from it or give you a chance to make something better. And in this instance, I'm going to be able to get in here and clean up this motor, get all the junk off of it, check the battery terminals, and do some maintenance on it. So even though I am delayed, I'm glad this happened because this needs to be done. Thanks for the motivation, Jocko. I knew that book would pay off Sunday for me. Might as well go ahead and disconnect this power and clean up the cover. Check out those crystals in there where they've leaked out. Look at that. What a mess right there, my goodness. But when I come over here on the inlet side, and I did some more cleaning, I put my light down in here, and you guys can't see on camera, of course, but deep in this hose that goes inside the tank, it's full of those crystals. So I think that's where my clog is, but it's gonna be kind of aggravating to get that out. I gotta go through the top, and this thing's halfway full, and try to see if I can get that hose loose and clean it that way. So I'm gonna do that off camera because I can't do that plus video. And I'll see you guys back here in just a second. Hopefully this pump will be up and running. All right, friends, about 20 minutes later, I finally got all those crystals cleaned out of the diaphragm where the motor is. And I had to take the hose off as well. It had some crystals built up in it, but I got it all cleaned out. And it's finally working properly. Let me show you. Finally got this up and running. My goodness, this was a delay I was not expecting today. All right, guys, I'm not going to bore you to death with watching me spray weeds for the next hour. So I'll see you back here in just a minute, and we'll get that wood chipper hooked up. You guys hang in there. All right, friends, real fast, an update on this sprayer. I was down there at the other property, which is way over there, spraying the fence line. And I got about 1/4 of the way down on this tank, and guess what happened? Let's get this off. More of those crystals. Look at that. See it in there? So what I'm going to have to do off camera, maybe tonight or tomorrow, I'm not going to do it right now, is empty this out and just pressure wash it and completely rinse out this entire system, because apparently there's some of these crystals hanging out in the bottom of the tank. I'll do that later. Right now, let's get on this wood chipper. It's been about 30 minutes since I cut the camera off, and I found 2 problems on the chipper, but I solved both of them. And before we go any further, let me show them to you. Here is where we're at. I got the hydraulics hooked up. I don't have the PTO hooked up yet because I got to cut a few inches off the PTO shaft. So here's what happened. I turned the tractor on and I noticed a leak as soon as I engaged the detent on the tractor. right there. You can see the hydraulic oil there on the ground. I had 2 fittings that were loose right there from the factory. Tighten those up, and those are good to go. I do have to put this little cover back on. But the other problem was I could not engage the teeth right there. So the teeth are in there, and you engage them with this lever, and for some reason I could not get that to work, and it was pretty simple once I talked to a friend of mine. So my good buddy Tony Lay over at Tony's Tractor Adventure channel, I think that's the name of his channel now, he might have changed it a while back. Anyways, Tony Lay, Tony's Tractor Adventure, I'll leave a link down below to his videos. Go check him out if you have time. One of my good friends over in Middle Tennessee. I called him because he got the chipper one size smaller than this and assembled it the other day. And it's a lot different from this one, but some of it's kind of unique, or kind of similar, I guess it sounds better, to this one. And here's the problem I had, and he was able to figure it out over the phone just by talking to him. Well, in this chipper, the hydraulic oil comes right out of the tractor. On his, he's got a reservoir. This one's a little bit different. But I have 3 little valves right here with these red knobs. 1, 2, and 3. And for some reason, I could not get hydraulic oil to flow through all these so we could use this lever. So after talking to Tony for about 10 minutes about it, doing some troubleshooting, he finally said, I figured it out. He said, go over there and pull on the knobs, quit turning them. And looky there. Well, I pushed that one in. Let me do it on this one over here. So we come over here, these red knobs, pull it out. My hands are slippery right now with all this oil all over me. That's all you got to do, and that opens up these valves, and that makes it run. So if you're gonna buy one of these chippers, make sure you check these valves. The owner's manual for this chipper was not on the crate. Hopefully they'll email it over to me, and that was probably in the manual. But it did set me back for about 20 minutes or so until we got that figured out. So now I'm going to take the PTO shaft up to the shop, cut about 4 inches off of it, hook it back to the tractor, and we should be making some chips here in about an hour. Famous last words. I'll probably run into another issue, but I'm hoping we will be. You guys hang in there. We are finally set up after 2 days of getting this thing assembled to make some wood chips. And before you guys get angry at me about what we're going to chip up, let me explain it real fast, and then you'll understand. I hope. Brace yourself. I'm going to chip up some lumber, but it's rotted, trust me. These are 1x3s. This is white pine. It was rotted when I put it on the sawmill, and I went ahead and cut it into these little strips so I could do some test runs on the wood chipper. Trust me, it is rotted. You can see all that rot right there. And this ain't gonna be a real good test for the chipper as far as what you can run through it, but it will give me an idea of what I can run through it, meaning dimensional lumber. When I get some rotted logs or some stuff that doesn't make the cut, I can cut these little strips and run it through the chipper and use it for something else. friends, that right there worked better than expected. Some good sized wood chips. We'll be using these for the garden, for the compost, for the chicken run, all kinds of uses around here. This is a lot better than burning it, and you guys were right about that. You've been telling me all these years to get a chipper. You guys were right. There's one thing I did forget on the first run, and that is my safety glasses. There was wood chips flying everywhere. So as you guys can see, it's getting cloudy back there. We're supposed to get some rain here in about 30 minutes. So I'm gonna start the tractor back up and bring some more pine over and try to get all that chipped up before it starts raining. And then we'll take the tractor down to the red barn and put it up for the night.
I guess what I'm saying is that the more history I study, ours and others, the more certain I am that there is one fertilizer essential to the survival of civilization, and that fertilizer is sweat. And I don't mean perspiration. I mean the kind of steamy, streamy, salty sweat that's wrung from a man by hard physical work. Somehow, the sweat gets into the soil of a farm, or a factory, or a city, or a state, or a nation, and everything thereabouts grows tall and strong and tough enough to stand against any storm. But the day the sweat dries up, the soil dries up, and whole civilizations are buried in dust.
Well, I was hoping I would fit that in the barn, but it's too wide. I need an equipment shed really, really bad. Sooner than later, I need to get on that here this summer. So here are my thoughts on the wood chipper so far after running it for probably 45 minutes maybe. I didn't video everything today. I chipped up some more pine after I cut the camera off. But after one day of running it, I like it. It's going to be really vital here at the farm. It's going to take care of all the slabs, or most of the slabs rather. And most importantly, it's going to give me something useful from the wood that's no good. I like it. I might as well take the big tractor back up to the house. I was down here mowing yesterday with the last tech. And guys, check out the field right there. That mower is awesome. I tell you what, it makes it look like a golf course out here. Super nice. My goodness, I'm just about out of diesel. Check that out. I'm telling you what, I've gone through a lot of fuel this year, a whole lot of diesel.